Welcome back to Z Radio, the only fictional, non-canon, canon radio station featuring the latest in everything to do with ZTV and the archive. Now to get things started, here's your host, Rob Roman.
Welcome back to Z Radio. Yeah, it's good to have you here. You know, we've been missing for a little while, taking some time off to regroup, find out what's really going on, and we're really glad that you're tuning in wherever you are around the world. I'm Rob Roman, and today we're discussing fine art. Like, what is it? When was it made? What did it actually have an origin date, or are we just kind of playing ourselves? Like, seriously, who would have been so bold to say, look, this art right here, definitely better than the other art? It's kind of rude in my opinion, but obviously it's not what I think. It's a matter of what you think. Phone lines are open, 241-2469. I'm hearing from my producer right now that we actually have someone on the line right now. Sam, are you there?
Yeah, hi, how's it going?
Oh, good. Sam, I'm glad that you're finally, how are you doing today?
Oh man, honestly, it's been a hell of a day, really. I've been at work all day, and then there was one dude that tried to cut me off on the interstate and nearly ran me to the boulevard as I was getting off. But I mean, overall, it was pretty. It was pretty mostly okay. I'm here now, at least, right?
Are you alive? Did you get his numbers or something?
I got his numbers, but I mean, you know how it is around here, and not really. It's probably not much is gonna come of it until at least 2 weeks later, and then it'll just be said, "Hey, we looked into it, nothing really came up." You know how it goes.
I'm not really sure where you live, but I'm just gonna take your word on it. But I'm glad that you're calling in. Today's topic happens to be about fine art. Do you have any examples of some fine art that you can share with us? I don't know how much of an expert you are in fine art, but I would be sure that you would know what some fine art is.
Yeah, I would definitely say that calling me an expert would be that would be definitely a stretch. But I did have a couple of classes back in college that related to fine art. One of the main things that we had to do was every week we went down to the Fine Art Museum down in Milwaukee, and that was interesting. I don't live in Milwaukee, by the way. I'm just letting you know that I went there when I went to college, and some people might know where that museum is. We had to basically peruse the museum, and we had to, make up these stories about what we thought our thoughts were on certain sections. Like there was the glass section, there was the linen section, there was the furniture section. It was all these different weird ones. There was one that was outside where it was literally someone crashed their car on a pole outside of the museum, and someone came along and turned it into an art display without even moving anything. So it was kind of incredible.
Would you consider that like a crime scene?
Now that I think about it, you're probably right, but I'm sure that there were some strings that were pulled to eventually get it to be the way it was. Like maybe the dude was okay and he just ended up like having it bought by some dude that wanted to turn it into an exhibit outside the museum, make use of what assets you have, Maybe it just has some darker story. I don't know. I never bothered to ask the people at the museum. I was just worried about getting to the other stuff. There was some really nice glass pieces that I thought were really cool. I wasn't really so interested about the stuff outside, especially when it was raining. Couldn't really see it that well. But maybe that dude was distracted by the stuff in the museum, and he ended up becoming an art piece. Now that'd be a hell of a story, eh? Yeah. So, like, what if he was thinking about all that stuff that was in the museum, or I was thinking about the stuff in the museum. I know that's for sure. But
so wait, you were saying that the crash was because he was thinking about fine art?
I'm thinking maybe it was. I mean, when there's a lot of nice stuff outside that museum, so there was definitely be eye catching. They like make an argument for getting distracted while driving, and then they post that up. So that's quite a opposite end of the spectrum.
So let me get this straight. You're saying that fine art can be dangerous when thinking about fine art.
There are so many different kinds of fine art. It can definitely get weird. Sometimes you just think about fine art and you just confuse yourself. Sometimes you get real distracted by some of the more kinds of fine art. You get what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
I don't. Why don't you enlighten me?
Well, there were definitely some nice sculptures that were relating to volume, let me put it that way, that were up in the museum. Those are definitely provocative, the kind of thing that you would think back to on a day when you're like, man, I really enjoyed my time at the museum. What would I think of? I would think of that exhibit. I don't think I could tell you exactly what it was, mostly because I can't exactly remember it. Like I said, I was more worried about the glass. But that's the kind of thing I would think of.
Would you consider museum merchandise being versions of fine art?
That there's a lot of people that turn so many different things into fine art in so many different ways. Like they take stuff that's all just industrial, like scraps, and they put it into stuff that's together. Some people just make completely off the wall custom stuff, like one of a kind. You wouldn't be able to like mass produce it. Um, so when you talk about like merchandise at a museum, sometimes you get that handmade stuff that's people just make a decent amount of in a row. Sometimes you get that machine stuff. Calling all of it fine art as like one umbrella, that's where it gets weird. Like when I was doing the assignments, they always had these different like they tried to make us into art critics, but I didn't really quite get it. All I thought was there's so many different kinds of art. Talking about what kind is fine, trying to make it seem like it's better than the other kinds of art. That really, it's confusing. Really, it's like when you think about it, trying to find something subjective like art and put an objective modifier as like this is better than that over it. How would you even do that? Like some people just think about art completely differently. So it's like how would I be able to deem that what is there is fine? Someone else might be able to think it's fine, but I don't. And if I think it's fine and they don't, how does that really change anything?
Well, you did begin your conversation saying that you were an expert in fine art, right?
No, I told you that I'm not an expert. I said I wouldn't equate myself to an expert. I have experience with fine art. I think that's the difference.
Then what would you consider fine art?
I never been to the Louvre, but there was a lot of stuff there that I thought was good.
Have you seen any examples, I don't know, in your day-to-day to define what fine art is? Like, have you seen fine art on a billboard?
Oh, there was a couple of really funny ones when I was going through the dead space up in the north. That those had like when there was nothing in between the cities, like it was 20-mile stretches or more. And they always had those billboards that are just there, and that's the only thing that's between you and the city and the next city. They would sometimes have parodies of art on there. They wouldn't just put straight up art on those boards. Although I guess with the way that people advertise stuff, some people would think that there's a lot of effort that goes into that, and some of those I think would be art. So now that I think about it, it's really hard to tell. Like you can't really be so cut and dry with this stuff, and like people try and section it up by the time when it's made. So it's like, how could you do that too? It's just like just because something's older, does that make it better or finer? Just because they had more limited options than when they were making art. It's really hard to tell with that one too. I mean, I've seen some really nice designs on a shirt. Maybe that's just the more modern me speaking, but there's some really nice pieces of art that interact with the space that you're limited to on a shirt, or like some pants. Those fat pants from the 90s. They get all kinds of crazy designs on them. Or you could get really creative too. Of course, some of it's just advertising. But you know how it goes. Like you got some kinds of neat designs. Those are eye-catching. Just like I'm assuming some pieces of fine art would be, or art. Can't saying fine so much is making it confusing. What were we talking about again?
The topic today was examples of fine art.
Okay, so I've had experiences with a couple guys named Art. Like just this last week, there was this guy that was doing my truck. He was helping me work on it, and I just wanted him to look at something. I gave him the keys, and I went to the gym. I came back, and he'd already done the thing without asking me. So that wasn't cool. Like he gave me the bill for everything. He didn't even talk to me about, oh hey, we're gonna go ahead and do it. It's just no, they just went ahead and did it. I mean, they saved me a bit of money, but it cost me more. I know that's kind of weird. It was definitely weird to me, but so I just like walked away. But
Sam, Sam, let me cut you off here. I don't know if we're actually getting to the point of where we're getting at during this segment of the show. Do you have prime examples of fine art, or
like a very specific example? I don't think I could give that to you because I mean, you have to. okay, when you're trying to talk about something objective like that, like what is fine art, you have to ask yourself, so what is fine about art anyway,
All
right?
right, Sam.
Okay.
Sam, I think we got everything that we were looking for. Thank you all for a wonderful segment. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to get back to more on the topic about fine art in a few, but we are also going to be meeting up with our special guest coming up in just a few, right here on Z Radio.
It's always summertime when it comes to trimming your hedges. And what better way to take care of the foliage that takes care of you all year long than to provide it long-lasting attention and care with TLC. Yes, the idea of tender love and care that you remember back in the 80s, now in an easily executable technique that will allow your hedges to form equally, last longer, and be the talking point of the town. Within 3 easy steps and little to no downtime, you can keep those hedges clean and free of debris, trimmed up, looking great, year after year. This isn't your father's bush treatment. Learn from thousands of years of landscape technique and keep those bushes bushy. Best of all, the TLC technique was recently featured on Pimp My Garden on the Wellness Channel and rated #1 on Women's Weekly Weekend magazine. So give it a try. Give those bushy branches the buff with TLC treatment. Exclusively available pretty much everywhere. Lawn, home, garden, electrical, landscaping, dirt, soil, and stone or soul. TLC, don't just do it for you, do it for them.
Tired of not being able to sit down? Tired of not being able to have your favorite taco place with your favorite salsa? Are you tired of your relationship falling apart because you can't do butt stuff? Well, do I have something for you? It's Hembegon. Say goodbye to those pesky hemorrhoids today.
Call 1-800-HEMorrhoid. 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 1-800-HEMorrhoid.
Don't be an ass. Call today. Warning. Do not ingest. This is not semen, you goddamn whore. Side effects may include dizziness, nausea, diarrhea, craving for intercourse, swelling of breasts, premature ejaculation, genital warts, squirting, rotting tentacles, mushrooms, quivering lips, spurts, a taste for hearing Animal Crossing music in your head, mesothelioma, booba syndrome, big balmy milky, fat swingy nuts, memories of Raven from Teen Titans, and death, all at the same time. Is our spot done? Can I go home now?
From the makers of Udon Boxing, Yeet Party, and Dragudon Ball Z comes a brand new world unlike anything you've seen before. That's because it's your custom world. That's right, the world you're in right now was created by Zeshin of Heroes and Fools. Let him visualize and customize your very own home world, right here in VR chat. Can't quite figure out how to use those hard-to-learn Unity and Blender programs? Want something cool to impress your friends? Not only can Zeshin create exactly what you're looking for, but he can even customize Udon scripts to fulfill your every need. Whether it's throwing around particle effects from your hands, actually grabbing your friends and throwing them, even a unique menu system to easily moderate people and events in your world. Just imagine a custom world that you created. All you have to do is think of it and let Zeshin do the rest. Easy. For information about commissions and pricing, email Zeshin at heroesandfools@gmail.com or check him out on Twitter and YouTube.
This is Z Radio, the only fictional non-canon canon radio station featuring the latest in everything to do with ZTV and the archive. Make sure to follow Zone Sama online for all the latest updates, information, and content, just so you can stop asking your best friend when Zone releases new videos. Seriously, go check it out yourself. All the greatest cartoon content you'll ever get to watch up at youtube.com/ZoneSama with ZTV news and the latest on their recent series, Education. Follow Zone Sama on Twitter for consistent updates, ramblings, and posts of hentai pornography. Seeing that Twitter's become that most days. And don't forget to check them out on Twitch, twitch.tv/ZoneSama for more VR chat shenanigans, random video game playthroughs, and retro game shows. If it's tentacle hentai or any hentai for that matter, we're on it. Of course, consider donating on the Patreon too for exclusive content most people only dream of seeing. It's all here for you, all here on the archive and Z Radio.
All right, welcome back to Z Radio, the only radio on the internet where we're not only taking your money, but you're literally throwing it at us. Like, seriously, can't thank you enough. Definitely makes my job a lot easier to get paid and not have to take my clothes off because, let's be real, it's a radio show after all. Kind of can't see that. Coming back with segment 2. If you want to call in with your favorite details of any sort of particular topic that you have offhand, you could totally do that. 241-2469. And of course, with your host, Rob Roman, good to have you on the program. Back here in segment 2, we are joined right now via web call with our special guest, a professor of horny studies, Dr. Grabs-Me-Off. Dr. Grabs-Me-Off, it's good to have you on the show.
I have changed my name, sir.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not get the notes on this. What can we address you as?
I am now known as Dr. Hands Down There.
Dr. Hands Down There. Okay, is that some sort of a Swedish name, or where does that normally come from?
It comes straight from Denmark. You know, it's a past family tradition just to have a name ending in there.
I can only imagine where I got a little cross with the Grabs-Me-Off, so please excuse me for the change there. But good to have you on the show, Dr. Hands Down There. And I'm very interested, and I think a lot of the listeners on a program are very interested to hear, how did you become a professor of horny studies? It's quite a widely talked about topic.
Well, one day I was browsing Google when I was 4 years old. And I saw a picture that changed my life forever. I typed into google.com, boobs. It changed my life forever. All I saw there was pairs of headlights. It changed my life forever. I knew what I needed to do. I needed to go straight to college for this, so I studied.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You studied, how many years did you have to study to receive the doctorate of horny studies?
8 years.
Wow.
8 years of my life towards this goal.
How did that not to get to extremely personal in this topic, but how did that whole career roll into your grade school years? Did a lot of kids make fun of you and your dreams of becoming a horny studied professor?
They said I was fucking crazy.
Ooh.
They would look at me and point and laugh. But who's laughing now?
Yeah,
I've seen more horny things than they're going to see in their entire lives. I'm probably studying half of them.
You know, I'm sure you're making a lot more money than I do. But so I mean, you must be a pretty happy man to be studying a good portion of your life dedicated to horny studies. Are you currently married?
I am indeed married.
And what does your wife think about your current profession?
My wife, Hugh Anus. She hates it, but at the same time, I rake in the crash. She doesn't care. She's like, I'm just gonna keep working at Walmart. You do you.
Now, did you end up finding your wife during your time at studying at the university, or where did you happen to find? What was her name again?
Hugh Anus.
Hugh Anus. Okay. How did you end up meeting with Hugh?
Well, Hugh's her last name. All right. So Janus Hugh, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Making sure that's across. I met her when I was walking down the street, and I walked into a place called a strip club, I think. It's a gentleman's club where you're supposed to drink beers and stuff. And she was a waitress there, and I tipped her a lot, and she followed me home.
You were doing that for
research, yes.
Research, yes. I was going to come up with the term. There was a technical term for it, but research. So, what were you researching that night? Anyway, are you still doing tenure on boobs?
Yeah. Boobs are amazing. They come in all shapes and sizes. A through D, F through Z. It's impressive the rack she has. She's a good old F.
I'm sure that you've studied those boobs all night long, right?
No, She doesn't let me.
Oh, so you'd have to do it safari style through binoculars across the room. That's impressive. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people in your career, your line of field would be doing it like that. But I'm really glad that you're taking one for the team to view such delicate, massive tracts of land from afar. So thank you for taking that into your own hands to research that sort of stuff. Let's take a moment to bring you back to the topic at hand. We're talking about horny studies here on the program. Now, it's been kind of striking the nation really hard. Been getting a lot of different people in the demographic, a lot of different age groups starting to learn about horny studies. Can you tell us about what's happening latest in society about horny studies right now? What's been developing?
Well, horny studies have recently just found a breakthrough. People are really into hentai now.
Mm-hmm.
And hentai is causing more of the masses to get horny.
Now, I also heard
youth
that
is being affected.
You actually had to call upon some of your colleagues back at the university to review some of these test subjects. Can you tell me a little bit about what the research was developing there?
Dildo and Masturbate have been with me since day one. I had to call them in from afar, and they had to leave their current job with good old anal probe.
Was that that's Greek for something, right? Wasn't that part of the university?
Yeah. It's not Greek, but it's Turkish. It's Turkish for like sandwich or something.
Oh, okay. Good. It's some of these topics and some of these foreign languages, they really get crossed in translation. So it's really good to take some time to better understand it. But what's so problematic about the youth today and hentai?
Well, they just don't see real woman the same anymore. You know, they look at a real woman and be like, her tits aren't big enough, and then they'll walk away. They don't care. What's a real girl supposed to do? Get bigger tits? You can't do that.
I mean, as a professor of large breasts, bahankala donkers, and hooters, this is a real problem for you in the field of this nature, right?
Yeah.
So in your professional opinion, how do you believe that larger breasts, are they just bound to get larger, or is this a real crisis that we're on?
We're unfortunately on a real crisis. Boobs are shrinking. We've hit the top, the climax, the peak. One of my coworkers, Take It Balls Deep, was telling me about it. He was like, whoa, from here to here, we're losing tons of big-breasted. And they're getting smaller. Same with dick size. It's getting smaller. We don't know what's going on.
What do you think about tentacles becoming a main staple in hentai production?
I like to see it because it looks like people are enjoying it more, but there's some people out there getting weird. And they're like stapling tentacles to their arm. I don't know how to feel about that.
I mean, this is the new year. This is 2021. I know we'd be dating ourselves if this program kept getting played on repeat after 2021. But it is a time where people are starting to say, we don't get enough tentacles. We might as well insert them into every orifice that we possibly can to further titillate ourselves and our senses. But just to carry the conversation on just a little bit further and a little bit deeper here, giggity. But what are some things that need to be particularly looked for in the future of horny studies? I know we were just discussing very quickly about enlarged breast size, tentacles in the body, the mass amount of people watching hentai. Is there going to be a second climax set in the future somewhere?
according to our data, there will in fact be a second climax. We believe it will strike in 2029 when just people randomly decide anime is not cool anymore and they start having sex again.
Based off your professional opinion, I know that robo waifus are starting to become popular. Is there going to be a future robo waifu fight up against let's just say maybe a Neko waifu fight? Do you think that they'll ever fight in battle?
Absolutely. With the technology we have, we are currently manufacturing sex robots. But in the future, cat girls, genetically engineered cat girls, are definitely coming in the future. And we're definitely going to have them fight. And we're going to see like a huge increase in horny across the board. It's going to be great.
So the future looks really bright for horny.
Yes.
Okay, it is going to take some time, but I would like to think that it would be a steady climax rather than one big old gushy mess and the declining of maybe even a sleepier period. Now, just before we pass you off, Dr. Hands Down there, you have any tips or advice for anyone trying to get into a college career as yourself? It says, like you said, it did take you about 8 years of horny studies, which must have been a really raw time for you. And I'm sure that the pain was real and the struggle was real, but luckily that your wife was there to help you hand in hand. As they would say. What would a lot of these new and upcoming horny study students, what do you think they should be focusing their attention on as they're going into college?
The books and the data. They need to look at the books and data and start early. They need to get in there as early as possible. This field is currently filling up. We won't have slots for you soon.
Yeah, when you have a lot of people in the slots, it's really hard to force more in there. That is definitely sure. Well, Dr. Hands Down there, I apologize for the miscalculation of your name, but thank you for becoming the professor of horny studies, and thank you for coming on for the show.
Yeah, no problem.
And if you'd like to learn more about how you can get off on horny studies and where to practice, all you have to do is just check out the latest blog up on our website, zradio.com. Coming up in just a little while, Egyptian cats and why they are so excited to meet you. All coming up on Z Radio. Hang tight.
Ugh. Hey, I see you're enjoying some chips. What do you think?
I don't know, man. There must have been a mistake. They put too much salt in these chips.
Well, I think I can solve that problem.
Wait. Are you putting more salt on the chips?
Yeah.
Introducing the new Super Salty Chips. Enjoy your favorite chips like never before. Now with a super amount of delicious salt.
Oh, I think I burned off my taste buds.
Scientifically designed by the gamer in mind, using 100% gamer salt for that all-natural, organic experience.
It's so salty.
Who's the chick?
Just a happy customer that loves good salt on her tongue.
Enjoy all the great original flavors, like Super Original Chips, Super Creamy Ranch, Super Cheesy, and the latest flavor, Extra Super Salty Chips Double XP Weekend. Try all your favorite Super Salty Chips flavors today at your local Come and Go.
Don't buy a bag for the flavor. Do it for the experience.
Hey guys, it's Rob Roman from Z Radio, here to tell you about Tentacle Grape Soda. Like, originally, I used to be all about water and keeping myself hydrated just like anybody else, but then I found out that wasn't enough to quench the thirst, and then it grabbed me. Tentacle Grape Soda. What a refreshing experience in my mouth. Powerful grape taste that just doesn't quit. Sugars to fill every pore. Energy for days. It's really something. Rated #1 soft drink to hit hard, and I'm telling you, everyone is getting their hands around a cold, crisp, and crass Tentacle Grape Soda. Juice doesn't cut it. Forget about milk. You'd think that the white stuff could fill you all the way up that it wants to. I'm afraid not. Teabag's out the door. I promise, once you've enjoyed some grape in your mouth with this much flavor and tenacity, you might just convince your friends to get graped in the mouth as well with Tentacle Grape Soda. You can get your hands on some Tentacle Grape Soda today by purchasing it online or wherever you buy your local hentai products. And don't forget to like them on Facebook and Twitter for updates and new product and coupons.
Ladies, do you have big boobs? I'm talking big bahongaladongas. Can't contain those puppies? Well, ditch those hard-to-wear sweaters you get only to be cool in front of all your friends and put those fun bags in one of Kalidori's real fine sweaters. Handcrafted and fits to your massive titty size. Clothes can't contain your triple E's? Looking for styles to fit over those gargantuan watermelon J-size boobs? We got you! Sweaters for all sizes at Kalidori's Sweater Shop, where our motto is, girls look better in a real tight sweater. And that's the truth. We want you to look hot. You go on a date wearing one of our sweaters, you're bound to get some. It's our promise to you. We'll fit you in a real fine tight sweater, accentuating those delicious mummy milkers. You go on a date and get boned. That's right, boned. Only at Kalidori's Sweater Shop. Wrap those puppies up in a real fine sweater.
Girls look better in a real tight sweater. Girls look better in a real tight sweater.
For hours and location details, go online to KalidoriSweaterShop.com.
Welcome back here to the program on Z Radio, the only radio station of its kind to watch you do it wherever you are. And proud of it. Just putting the finishing touches on today's show. Got to thank our callers for all of the help that they've generously donated to us to how to define fine art, despite actually having no one tell us what fine art is. So that's totally fine. And Dr. Gazbioff of Horny Studies giving us the state of the hymen, if you will, on what the cool kids have been up to. So enjoy the rest of your evening, and remember, wherever you might be tonight, just know that someone is always watching you nap. Good night, and we'll catch you next time, right here on Z Radio.